Hi, welcome everyone. Today we are going to discuss, I think it's module 15 of the CH course, which is on hacking wireless. So the topics that we would be covering under this session are a little bit of LAN overview, then encryption, some of the threats with regards to wireless, and some of the attack methods. We'll also discuss some terms that are related to Bluetooth and bluejacking. Then some of the defense methods and or countermeasures. Then we'll look at some of the tools that are used as wireless IPS. Okay, that stands for prevention systems. And then how we can make use of wireless hacking in pen testing. So with respect to wireless LAN, we need to know that LAN stands for local area network. It's a 802.11 standard, and it's over a Wi-Fi. Like it's also called Wi-Fi. The original standard with respect to wireless came in 1997, and there is an organization called Soho and Enterprise Skill Solutions. They also started with some products in 1999, 802.11b, and which became popular because the prices got reduced. So earlier, what used to happen is like when people used to connect to a network, they had only the Ethernet physical LAN cables, using which they used to connect various computers on a network as per the topology that was being followed. Okay. So where you would find these networks, commonly you would find these networks in a coffee shop or in an organization. There might be, or a home, you will have a WLAN router. Okay, now these days routers come with the physical LAN sockets, as well as an antenna which can help you in connecting various other devices in a wireless manner. So you basically, in a network, you have a client which have access to the network. Then there is a uh, outside network is called as internet. Commonly, it is seen in enterprises. Okay, and the term there is called WLAN, which is actually different from router, but generally when devices are connected with each other, it is called WLAN. And there is always an access point, and sometimes in a network within an organization, there is a switch. So it's like generic terms that you need to be aware of, which is like these are the names of the devices that are used to set up a wireless network. Okay. So it's like if we can access the network somehow by gaining access to one of these devices, then we can elevate the attack to other systems which are there in a network, inside network of a corporate. Okay, so with respect to standards, some of the common standards you would see, they are like 802.11a, B, G, N, and AC Wave 2. So this is just a comparison table between their bandwidths and the frequency band that they use. Okay. So as you see that with respect to 802.11a, we have 54 Mbps bandwidth. With the 11b, we have 11 Mbps and with the frequency of 2.4 gigahertz. In home, you will see the ones that are like more like 2.4 gigahertz ones. Okay. And then you have this 802.11g, 54 Mbps bandwidth and 2.4 gigahertz of frequency band. So this is like whenever you do any enumeration on the hardware with all the NIC cards that you have, maybe you can purchase a device with a very, very minimal price if you want to access a network and internet. with like using an access point which is there in a in home, or sometimes it is actually considered insecure in organizations. So there are like various other mechanisms and configuration policies that you might have to follow with respect to corporate networks. So as far as the term called SSID is concerned, so it stands for Service Set Identifier. This is on a wireless LAN. Even when you create a hotspot in your phone, you have to give a name to that network. So a human readable name. You can, but it is not a convention. You can also keep a name which cannot be read by a human. Maybe any garble string, you can give that as a name. It's not a standard, but the name that with which you can identify is called SSIDs, service set identifiers. Okay, and a small airspace can have multiple SSIDs. Okay, then normally the SSIDs of the service sets of access points are called basic service sets, like BSS. They have like BSSIDs. Okay, which actually distinguishes these access points in the same wireless LAN, and you can get also have access point also has a MAC address. So let's discuss about the privacy with respect to WLAN SSIDs. Okay, some security algorithms that are used to maintain the privacy of these networks. One is called WEP, which is wired equivalent privacy. Then you have WPA and WPA2, which stands for Wi-Fi protected areas. So earlier people used to use WEP a lot, but these days because it is considered insecure, uh, because of the problem in the implementation of the cipher algorithm that it has. Okay, the cipher encryption algorithm. So therefore, these days WPA and WPA2 are considered more secure. So with respect to WLAN antennas, there are two types. One is called omnidirectional. They are like dipole antennas. You would have seen that there's a rubber casing in which a dipole antenna is normally kept, and it looks like an antenna which used to be there on old big wireless phones. Okay, let me just so maybe you are not you like it is a very common antenna which is available these days. Let me just show you one image of that. Okay, something like this. Okay, wait, yeah, this one. So you would see an antenna like this, and it actually a rubber casing. Inside this, a dipole antenna is inserted. Okay, so this is like visually it looks like this. And then there are like parabolic antennas and Yagi antennas. So Yagi antennas are like more like the old TV antennas that you used to see with lot of bars in it and in a rectangle or a trapezoid kind of a shape. Okay, and then there are parabolic antennas which look like more like discs. Okay, so those antennas are directional antennas, and these the ones that you see in home routers are the one which are omnidirectional and dipole antennas. So there are some encryption types with respect to wirelesses, and I just mentioned WPA, WEP, and WPA and WPA2. But the more types are TKIP, AES encryptions, okay, and then EAP, LEAP, Radius, and CCMP. So these are other types of encryptions. So with respect to WEP, let's discuss few points. It stands for wired equivalent privacy. In original, it was a 802.11 standard, which started in 1997, and it makes use of RC4 stream cipher, and it has like 50% of chances that it repeats uh, in 4096 frames. It's like not enough traffic to capture it. Okay, so like let's say if you are using some kind of a software to capture the frames from this WEP, and if you don't have enough packets which can be used to crack the keys for it, okay, then you have to inject packets in that. Okay, so the ones that are like WEP40, also called WEP 64, WEP 64, they are like 24-bit IVs. They have like 24 IVs, 24-bit IVs, which is a 40-bit key, and it uses 10 hex digits. Okay, and WEP 128 has again 24-bit IVs, but uses a 104-bit key, and which is a 26 hex digits. Then we have WPA2. It stands for Wi-Fi Protected Access. It started in year 2003. Okay, and there was a little gap. Okay, until WPA2 standard came in. Okay, which actually uses the temporal key integrity protocol for exchanging the keys. Okay, the access point and the client exchange that kind of a protocol to exchange keys. So still that uses RC4, but with the it used to use RC4, but with 48-bit IV and 128-bit key. Then when in 2004 this WPA2 came, uh, it was as per the IEEE 802.11I standard. It uses AES encryptions, okay, which has like 128-bit key length, and it is based on a counter mode called CBC and MAC protocol. So it's like in case of WPA, which was there in 203, the protocol used was TKIP. Here the protocol uses CCMP. And there is also a certification with respect to WPA2, which started since 2006. Okay, for implementing this. Okay, so with respect to using WPA and WPA2 in home or coffee shops or at usual places, you would see that privacy is maintained by creating a pre-shared key, like or even in your mobile phone. When you create a hotspot, you have to input a key. Okay, or if you there are times when people can use it without any user authentication. It depends on their behavior. Okay, now with respect to enterprises, when WPA or WPA2 is used, so user authentication actually happens via EAP. Okay, just one mechanism of maintaining the privacy. So EAP is like you will log in with your username, ID, and password, and automatically a key would be assigned, and exchange would happen, and the client would be able to authenticate with the access point and will get connected to the network. So there you don't have to input the keys. Okay, so the key is actually not pre-shared, which is not known. Okay. Now comparing encryption options. If you compare WEP, WPA, and WPA2, then with respect to encryptions, you can see that WPA2 uses AES, but WEP and WPA use RC4. Okay, WPA2 uses AES. Key rotation happens. WEP does not have any key rotation, but with respect to WPA and 2, there is a dynamic session keys. The mechanism is used to do key rotation. And for exchanging the keys, distributing the keys to the clients, manual process is adopted, in case of WEP, and a key is required to authenticate. But in case of WPA and WPA2, the key distribution is automatic. There's a handshake which happens automatically, okay, between the client and the access point, and it uses it can use 802.1, A B C 11 A B C or any standard, and EAP or EAP. Okay. So what were the problems with WEP? Why it was why people used to feel insecure about it? Okay, well, because there's a manual method of distributing the keys between the members who want to use it, and it was of 24-bit. IV size for that was 24 bits, and there are only 2 to the power 24 possibilities of for a single WEP key. Okay. So IV reuse was also the problem, and some IVs were quite weak, and it could inject frames. Like you could inject frames wherein IVs could collide very quickly. Okay, there was a problem with collision. So that's why it was possible to break the WEP. So the method usually is used to break WEP is to put the Wi-Fi interface into a monitor mode, and you can use AMON NG, like aircrack NG suite is there, in which you have a tool called AMON NG, AirPlay NG, AeroDump, and AirCrack. So what it's like 4-step process. You put the interface that is there, the WLAN interface, into a monitor mode. Then you flood the network with ARP request to inject the packets. Okay, and simultaneously, while you are capturing the packets on a particular SSID with the AeroDump NG. So once like enough packets are captured, okay, and then those captured packets are read, and the passwords are cracked using aircrack ng. Okay. With respect to steps that are there in cracking WPA, so it's like it has like a pairwise master key, which is known to both client and access point. And in WPA PSK, PMK is derived from the PSK. Okay, like PSK stands for pre-shared key. So normally what happens is like in the initial connection, a handshake happens, okay, which includes a message integrity check. So this message integrity check itself can be brute forced, okay, it can be attacked to derive the key. So it's just one example of using a tool called Wi-Fi, wherein you use Wi-Fi and capture the handshake, then remove the excess data using WPA clean, then convert to HC cap using a tool called aircrack ng, and then crack with using CUDA hashcat. Okay, but there are times when these software and tools are usually inaccessible. Sometimes you might have, for CUDA, you will have to arrange a GPU, right? So, but for home networks and for the sample that we will discuss in the class, we'll use just one laptop and at least 2 network cards and 1 access point, which can be a home router. Okay. Some of the countermeasures, against the encryption attacks, don't use WEP. Now use WPA2 in case you want to know about configuring your home routers. As well as in case of corporate routers, there is IT team and they usually have policies, and for learning purpose, you can actually try the methods that we show using your mobile or your home router. So where like with respect to with respect to these countermeasures, always use complex passphrases, and only use AES CC either AES or CCMP. Don't use TKIP. In case if these configurations are known to you, then and if they are available in the admin interface of the router, then please they're usually given in drop downs. Okay, so while configuring it, make use of these. And if possible, generally if possible, like not in case of homes, but in case of organizations, you should use higher level encryptions such as IPsec to protect your data. Okay, let's discuss some of the wireless threats with respect to access controls. So what happens is like attackers can evade these WLAN access control using either MAC spoofing, okay, where they can change and refresh their MAC addresses of the client with which they want to connect, or they can actually note down or capture the packets with respect to a computer or rogue client which is connected to a network and spoof its address. There are times when the access point itself is misconfigured. Okay, and if there is an ad hoc networking that is being used. So ad hoc networking is like when you connect one laptop to another laptop or one device to another device directly, like without an access point in between. Okay, or if there is a rogue access point which is present. So this all these all can help an attacker to evade the access controls if you have defined them. Okay. So with respect to integrity, attackers can forge the control, okay, or data frames, basically to affect or gain access to the network using these methods such as IV replay or WEP injection, data replay, radius replay, data frame injections, or EAP replay. Okay. Aircrack NG has a tool like Air Replay, so that can help in. It has like various options to do these replays. Okay, but before replaying, you have to capture the frames. So with respect to confidentiality, these are some of the threats. Some sensitive information can be revealed in these frames that are used for the communication and data exchange between the devices. They're vulnerable to man in the middle, or someone can actually put a honeypot access point, or WP cracking can be done to reveal this information, or the sessions can be hijacked, or someone can set up a evil twin, like same kind of a, like someone can create this network with the same name as the victim name, and then just increase the strength of the network so that it can override the effect of the existing network. Okay, so and then de-authenticate the existing clients so that they try to reconnect, and just because the strength of the signal of a rogue access point is better, so the clients would actually try to connect to the rogue access point. Okay, that's like evil twin. Or someone can eavesdrop, like, and sniff on the packets, okay, to get access to the sensitive information. Now with respect to availability, uh, in WLAN, you can against WLAN you can launch a denial of service, or by replaying, by spoofing the MAC address and then replaying a lot of packets against the access point. Okay, then you can also do beacon flood, uh, or you can steal the access point by placing an evil twin, right? Or you can send a deauth flood, deauthentication floods, or you can do a disassociation attack. Some of the attacks, more attacks are like misconfigured access point attack, in which SSIDs are occasionally assumed. Okay, they are assumed wrongly to be form of the authentication. So most access point, they actually broadcast these SSIDs in beacon frames, and it is very easy to gain access to a misconfigured access AP. Okay, you have to just sniff for the beacons, join the SSID, and then access the network. Okay, three steps. Now, in case of ad hoc connection attacks, you can configure, the network with the help of a malicious software, and then enable the ad hoc network, and then attacker can join and jump to the internal network through a, if at all there is an PC which is like vulnerable, and or a laptop. Usually it happens with laptop because they have like inbuilt NICs, like wireless parts, right? So once an attacker joins by doing this kind of an attack, connection attack, then he can gain or jump to the internet network as well. Then one is called honeyspot attack. So these what happens is like the access point with the same SSID and working internet access can lead to inadvertent or purposeful client association and data capture. So that's called a honeyspot attack. So okay, and it stores like normally you know you will find these in these stores which offer free internet access. Sometimes very less often you would see that someone is actually using a browser to give, they would send you SMS on your phone number, and then you can key in that SMS, like it happens in case of railway stations or some other properly organized internet areas, right? But some of the shops that offer like shopping and dining services, they can if offer free internet access, they are like very easy targets for honeyspot attacks. Then there is called access point MAC spoofing. Okay, some hotspots use the client MAC address as the identity validation, and configuring a host with the same MAC address can sometimes lead to bypassing the access validation. Okay, now it can be done in two steps. You sniff for hosts that are surfing the internet, and then change the host MAC to that of a valid host. Okay. Okay. With respect to deauthentication, what's there in a deauthentication packet? First of all, it's included in 802.11 IEEE standard. So it was a like sanction technique to inform a rogue station that they have been disconnected from the network. Okay. Then it is normally sent to the host and with a spoof the source MAC. So to perform it, you must be within the range of the client. Okay. So there's an access point, there is a client, and then you are trying to enter the network. Then you have to deauthenticate the client first, which is a valid client. And then during that capture, you have to do this. So, and then once during the handshake, WPA handshake, uh, you like this WPA handshake is captured basically. Okay, and that helps in doing a brute force against it. So, but doing a brute force, for doing a brute force, you will have to create a list of passwords, either by assuming or gaining access to the leaked passwords, okay, or by social engineering or by guessing. Okay, you have to prepare that. Then for creating denial of service using deauth flood, you have to, there's just configuration options available in the replay tools. So to do a deauthentication, you have to consistently flood the network with this kind of a packet or a frame, I would say. And you can send it forever so that it becomes inaccessible. Okay, the access point becomes inaccessible. Then there is a term called jamming, which is also considered as denial of service. So it's like what you do is like you use radio signals deliberately to disrupt the network access. And there are like specialized hardwares built for this purpose, these RF transmission hardware. And they decrease the signal to noise ratio. Like noise is more, okay, in that case they create more noise, and it is illegal to jam Wi-Fi networks in some countries. And maybe there are some in some countries there are no laws regarding it, okay. Still people are in the process of defining better policies with respect to jamming. Now gaining access to RF for transmission hardware is possible only by maybe only by illegal entities, or by the law enforcement agencies. So you should refrain from this, like using these RF transmission hardwares. Okay. Then wireless attack methods. So with respect to starting of an attack, first you have to do footprinting, and you can use both passive as well as active, footprinting. So if you do passive, you have to use the sniffers and listen to the airwaves, and usually with the help of a software. And for doing the active footprinting, you have to send the probe request, okay, with the empty SSIDs, not the one that is created by you, okay. Then for finding networks and to do more like footprinting, you can use tools. What tools you would require generally is one laptop, and one external antenna uh, with your preferred capability, okay, and one kind of a software that is installed on a laptop. Okay, so in a laptop, if you have Kali and the Aircrack NG suite, and with an external antenna, then you can perform footprinting, and then you can perform attack also. So wireless footprinting, some of the more tools that you can have a look at, aircrackng.org, the one. Okay, you can use out of from that suite, you can use Aerodump. Okay, then there's a tool also called Insider, okay, which is a commercial tool. Website is metageek.com. You can use a tool called NetStumbler. Website is netstumbler.com. And then there is a tool called WizTumbler. Okay, and you can also use your smartphone. Okay, because it has a Wi-Fi manager, and you can also install a software that gives you network signal information. So generally, to perform wireless attacks, you have to be very, very near to these networks, so that you get enough. You can capture these packets, like enough packets you can capture. So there is a website called wiggle.net. Okay, you can have a look at that. It actually gives you the geographical locations. Okay, and you have to like install it, an Android app, okay, which captures the Wi-Fi networks around you, and then you need to feed it to wiggle.net, and it will show you the geographical locations in a map. Okay, this is the website, so you can upload and you can see. Okay, then with respect to analyzing the wireless traffic, uh, you can do passive sniffing. You can passively sniff for SSIDs. You can find out about encryption protocols, some of the authentication methods that is being used. You can make use of multiple access points. Okay, and you can keep same SSID, and you can look on which particular channel an access point is relaying the packets. Okay. Some of the tools that you can use for analyzing the wireless traffic: Wireshark, OmniPeak, ComView, and AirMagnet. And there is also a tool called AirPCAP. So, tool like AirPCAP is purposefully built for capturing the traffic from the. It's a it's a traffic capture hardware. Okay, and some of the commercial product, from Riverbed. It's a commercial product from Riverbed USB, and it can be connected with the USB. It has the ability to inject frames, and you can integrate it with Wireshark or a tool called Steel Central. Okay. Now, with respect to the tools, these are just references as to like these tools are used for analysis. These tools are used for sniffing and packet capture, and these are some of the tools are used for another step such as replay. Some of the tools are used for deauthentication. So you need not to learn all the tools very deeply. Again, I would say that, but you should know that these tools exist and they can be used. Okay. So with respect to doing a wireless attack, okay, first is to find the network SSIDs. And if you are using AirCrack NG suite, then a command called airmon ng start and the interface name would help you in finding out various SSIDs and on the channels on which they are running. Okay, then uh, basically the start command puts the interface into monitor mode. Okay, normally it is in management mode, wherein it is being managed by a software like a network manager. Okay, so but to capture packets in the airspace, you have to first put the card in a monitor mode, and this command helps you in enabling that mode in the card. So let's say you have a laptop and it's connected to Wi-Fi, some access point with its internal wireless card. If you try to put that into monitor mode, then you will get disconnected from the network, right? So, I mean, I have not tried that. Maybe it creates another false interface. Let's try that out. But it is always best to have, another card, which usually comes very cheap. Okay, like 300 rupees or 320 rupees. You can buy it and you can plug it in to for the learning purpose. Okay, so that whatever configurations you do on the card with the help of this software M1NG, it doesn't disturb the normal working workflow that you have. And then with the help of aerodump ng, you can give the interface name and you can look for these SSIDs, like service side IDs. Okay. Now, for doing MAC spoofing, you have to first sniff the air for MAC addresses of the clients that have already authenticated with the access point. And then you have to modify the access point with which you are connecting to impersonate the victim. Okay. And you can, using if config, the interface name down command, you can put the interface down and then you can configure it, give it that MAC address with this command. I mean the attack machine that you're using. And let's say, imagine that this is the MAC address of the victim, okay? And then you use this command to put the hardware, I mean, change the MAC address. And then you again enable the interface so that you're able to spoof and become the, like impersonate the victim. Now for doing a deauthentication attack, you have to first enable the monitor mode, okay, using this command, like m1ng start and the interface name. Then look for, oh, sorry, I think. So in this, I'm assuming that this is the card which you have bought separately, Okay, this interface belongs to the card and that you have bought separately and plugged in with the help of a USB in your laptop. So that's the name of the interface. So once you put it in the monitor mode, you start to look for SSIDs using the AeroDump. So then let's say some client was, what happens is like if there is a client which is automatically authenticated, so like so imagine that till step 2 the client has not connected to the access point and somehow you have control on the client, okay, so that it can connect to the network. Then wait for it to connect, and once it is connected, okay, then send a, like then you won't have to do a deauth, okay. But let's say if the client is already connected, okay, and you are sniffing on the packets and looking for SID, okay, SSIDs, the card is already in the monitor mode, then to disconnect the authenticated client you need to deauth it first, okay, so that when you send the deauth, this is just example of sending to an access point to with the client Mac with the help of this monitored interface, and it is sending a deauth request with just one packet. You're sending just one deauth. So what will happen? The client would disconnect, and then it will again try to reconnect because it's a valid client. It will try to reconnect to the access point, and to reconnect, it will establish a handshake. So idea is to basically capture that handshake process because that is most important for the key, appreciate key from a WPA2. Okay. Now, with respect to WEPs, you just similar steps are. So in case what happens in case of evil twin attack, uh, using same commands, you give the interface name and enable the monitor mode. Again, look for SSID using AeroDump ng and give the interface name. Wait for the client to connect. And then you create a soft imagine that access point name is this, some, okay, some string called router. You have the access point MAC, and then you can create a soft access point. Then deauth the client by sending this command, okay, taking that same MAC, okay. And but for doing that, you should be aware on which channel it is running. So either while you are actually looking for SSIDs, it might, if the card is good, it will give you the channel name also while it is basically searching for the SSIDs. And if it is not, then somehow you need to know on which particular channel it is running. There's a command also to know the channel on which the SSID is there. So once you deauth the client, you turn up the transmission power, okay, make the soft SSID stronger, okay, by using on this command. Then you wait. Now, because you have de-authenticated the client, so it will try to join the network that you have created in the step 4. Okay, then you can use a software like attack captor do in middle in the man in the middle attack. Okay. Now, in case of WEP crack, you have to first enable monitor mode using the command am1ng start WLAN. Then look for the SSIDs. Again, wait. And write those captured packets to a file using this command. So let's say the file name is .cap. You need to capture packets more than like 10,000 packets, okay? So once you put AeroDump, once you run AeroDump on an interface, it would actually start showing you the number of packets that it is capturing. So when just you have to wait for it to capture more than 10,000 packets, and then using aircrack ng, you can crack the keys. So, but it takes a lot of time for like to capture so many packets. Okay, so if you want to do it speedily, you have to first test whether you can inject the package into SSID, and you have to give the MAC address of the access point, okay, which is BSSID. Okay, how many packets you want to? I think C stands for channel. Yeah, in case of Aerodam. Okay, let's see this. Or maybe I have probably mistyped that, but I think it stands for C only. Channel. Okay, I'll check that and we'll get back to you. Okay, because capital C is mentioned in this help. Anyways, I'll clarify that to you in the lab. Okay, I'll just bold it. Okay, then once only from the target access point you will capture the packets and will write them to a file. Then to speed up the process, you can keep injecting using air replay. Okay, so air replay can be used to inject these packets, like the auth packets, or by spoofing some packets, some these replays you can capture and then replay using this command. And then once the enough packets are captured, then you can use aircrack ng to capture extract the key from the dump, I mean the file in which you are capturing. Now with respect to WPA pre-shared key crack, okay, you have to first enable monitor mode by using m1ng start and the interface name. Look for SSIDs, capture the packets, and write them to a file. Then do a deauth, like disconnect the authenticated client using this command by giving the BSID. Then check the file whether you have to do that, and at the same time you have to send the deauth at the same time when the packets are getting captured. And when they are shown on the terminal, you will be able to see whether after deauth a handshake has happened or not. But if you have control, like while doing while learning it, you will have the control on doing authentication or a deauthentication, right? If the handshake is not getting captured, then you can manually also disconnect the client and connect it back. Okay, but or you can keep sending the deauths to disconnect the client. Okay, and then once the enough packets are captured, then you can use a word list. Okay, to brute force the password, the key, pre-shared key. Now, with respect to Bluetooth and the bluejacking are also part of like wireless hacking. Okay, so the specification, like Bluetooth as a way to communicate and exchange data, came in 1994. The specification was created in 1994. Okay, and it was created by a special interest group, called Bluetooth Special Interest Group, right? It was formed in May 1998. So after 4 years of the specification, okay. And some of the organizations that were a part of it were Ericsson, IBM, Intel, Toshiba, and Nokia. And then over a period of time, it had like 19,000 companies who joined it. Okay. because it was easy for the devices to communicate and exchange data with using Bluetooth. Some of the Bluetooth attacks you would hear, one is called blue jacking. It's like sending messages over Bluetooth through contact sharing. Okay. Then there is an attack called blue sniff, which is also used in Bluetooth while driving. And there is an attack called blue snuff, which is like stealing information from a device through Bluetooth. Just different terms. Normally, the attacks are to steal something or to disrupt something or to fulfill some or the other purpose, right? And then there's a blue smacking, which is like denial of service through random packet sending. So, what is blue jacking? Like a little bit of detail. So, how it happens? Like you create a contact and put your message in the name field, and then send the contact via Bluetooth. Okay. Why is it required to get some illicit response? And mostly people use this kind of an attack in case of guerrilla marketing also, so which is not a good way, but some people do it, like they just be part of some gathering and then they do contact sharing using this, and to seek some response. Then there is Bluetooth tools. Some of the Bluetooth tools are like BT browser, blue snuffer, BT crawler, bluer, BT audit, and I've just listed down these websites that you can have a look at. Okay. Now let's talk. Now we have talked about attacks and various types with respect to Wi-Fi's. We have talked about the standards, history, and the steps also, like how it happens. Okay, some of the best practices. To as part of countermeasures, you can get into the habit of using best practices again, like to configure basically the devices and with respect to the passwords that you keep. Okay, so always like change SSID from default. uh, like maybe when you bought the router, it had a default SSID, and always understand that there is a difference between an SSID and a password. Okay, it's not a password, and you can input a non-human readable string also for this. Okay. No, but never leave a default SSID in a device. Okay, and if you think that while you are configuring a router or an access point, if you feel that there is, or if you see that a username or password, some default is there, always remove it and change it. And if there is a setting to stop the broadcast of the SSID, and you can disable it, or you can keep it in a hidden mode. Depends on like what kind of policy you have. Okay, then you can also disable remote administration from the WAN side. Okay, filter the MAC addresses if it is administratively feasible for you, and so that if it's a small airspace and small number of devices that you are concerned about, then you can allow only specific MAC addresses to connect. Like these days, with respect to IoT devices and devices in your home network, there are a lot of you don't have more than 8 to 10 device, right? It's not possible to have. But in larger organizations, it is very very difficult to create a. It's a very tiring process, and um, maybe you can use some tools to do that automatically and configure these devices. Okay, and like filter the known MAC addresses of a company. Always use WPA2, and if WEP is there, you can disable it or uncheck it, and do not use any identifying information in your while keeping your SSIDs. Like don't give like say your address or home address in that SSIDs. Okay. because that will reveal the information or the location. It will be easy to locate that SSID if someone is sniffing on or looking for these SSIDs to attack. Use firewalls and intrusion detection systems to detect, uh, these DOTs or DOT floods. Okay. Keep higher level data encryption such as IPsec, and if possible, you can make use of a wireless intrusion detection system also. So some two like examples I've given, like Cisco Adaptive or WIPS is there, which can be used as a wireless intrusion prevention system. And there is a uh, tool called there's an IPS called Aruba RF Protect Wireless Intrusion Protection. Okay. With respect to making wireless hacking as part of pen testing, okay, what you need to do is like perform a wireless pen test on your organization assets. Okay, but three things you need to do it in. You need to do it in order. Your first is to get an approval, then sniff, and then analyze. And I'm not sure if you can to validate whether a particular encryption or mechanism is weak or not. And the keys also can be passed along if they are broken. So it is better to stop at that step. Okay, like analysis, and make it as part of report. Okay. And offline, if the packets are captured, then offline it can be informed. If someone is asking for a demo, then you can give that. Okay. Now for sniffing, if you're what you can do to sniff uh, as part of pen testing, you can gather the information using tools that we have discussed and provide the report. Like you can use aircrack ng to deauth the clients, the authenticated clients. And for capturing, you can use aerodump, okay, which will help you in capturing the frames. And then you can crack the WEP is usually not there in organizations, but for learning purpose, probably when you are configuring your home router or to learn how a WEP is performed, you can choose that as WEP. Okay, and then, but in case of organizations, you will always have either WPA or and WPA2. Okay, and you can use the tools like aircrack ng or Wi-Fi. On network, uh, once you have the access on network, like let's after cracking. Okay, now this has to happen with the help of approval only after approval. And if someone is specifically looking for validation on the vulnerability, only then, if you get the access on the network, then you can either attack higher level protocols or other applications. Okay. And once you get the details, you document all your findings and prepare a report and give it to the management. So these are the steps that you can do as part of pen testing. So we have come towards the end of this session.